One night, the girl dreamed about her own mother. "Where are you going?" she asked her mother, retreating back. Without turning, her mother replied, "Don't fret, dearest. I'm not going anywhere. I'm always watching over you like the sun in the day and the moon in the night." A wave of sadness washed over the girl. "What about when it rains and I can't see the sun or the moon? Then I will turn into a star in the clouds and wait for your tears to dry." Super Mario Galaxy means a lot to me. It was the first game I played after the passing of my mother when I was 10 years old. Rosalina's storybook, the way how she sees the Lumas as her children, and just how she carries herself is why she is one of my favorite Nintendo characters ever. The galaxies you adventure throughout the game are not only breathtaking to look at, but are filled with vibrant colors and whimsical characters to interact with. The orchestral music provides you to feel whatever situation is going on in the game, whether it's cheerful, heroic music, or sadness, melancholy melodies. Super Mario Galaxy, if you are just going along through the game, it is for sure your typical Save a Princess story, but if you spend the time to look more deeply into the lore, you get to find something more. Reading old interviews with Koizumi, I remember reading how he loves writing stories. Starting his work with Nintendo immediately after his college days, he would be responsible for writing the stories you would read in video game manuals. His love for storytelling then led him to become the director of Super Mario Galaxy and still a big key figure in the Mario games today. He also mentions how he would have to sneak in some story details in this game as compared to the great Shigeru Miyamoto, who was more focused on the gameplay experience of Mario Galaxy. That's what led me into this massive rabbit hole of Super Mario Galaxy, and so with all that being said, in honor of the 40th anniversary and also the announcement of Super Mario Galaxy 1+2 and the Super Mario Galaxy movie, I wanted to go ahead and discuss the development of Super Mario Galaxy. Super Mario Galaxy was shown off for the first time during E3 2006 as a little clip via a scissor reel, and with it also was a demo available for people in attendance. Even Reggie spoke about the title just a tiny bit.
And Mario is back too. His brand new adventure for Wii is called Super Mario Galaxy. And with freehand control, Mr. Miyamoto has given Mario moves he's never had before. Swing your hand to bat away objects, grab onto shooting stars with the pointer, swim through space, and skip along the stratosphere.
Before we take a look at that scissor reel clip reveal, we first must discuss about a little tech demo called Super Mario 128. This tech demo was first shown off at Space World 2000 to showcase the ability of the GameCube hardware. It showed the 128 Mario running around in a spherical area, and though this was again just a tech demo, this tech demo assisted in a lot of ideas for future Nintendo titles. Games like Pikmin and of course Super Mario Galaxy. The 3D spheres, walking, and gravity mechanics similar to how Mario explores around in Galaxy is what led the team to use said technology. Now going back into E3 2006, the scissor reel compared to the final release, I was able to notice quite a little bit of a difference actually. Mario also just seems to sound a little bit different compared to the final game, at least more or less to my ears. To me, he seems to have a combination of both his new Mario Galaxy lines and as well as his Super Mario 64 lines. Take a listen. We also got a first look of Good Egg Galaxy, showcasing a new look in the starting area which was changed in the final release, as well as an early look at King Caliente. Looking at the actual demo, that is where we see a better look at the game, seeing Mario getting burst out of a bubble and given a cute Wii sound effect. Upon starting the demo, we are apparently in an area known as the Star World. Looking at the HUD, we can see we have an indicator for Mario's lives, a coin counter, and an early look at the Star Bits counter on the bottom left hand side of your screen. This for sure is a very different icon compared to what we got at the end of the game, but I'm very glad that they went ahead and changed it, as compared to the new one, I think the new one for sure looks a lot better. We also see that the pointer looks different as well. Playing through the demo, we also even see the player mess with these bells to make them jingle, see musical notes appear that Mario is able to collect, and at the end of it, we get to see how a 1-up mushroom looks like. It could be due to the facts that the gameplay is off screen, but it looks to me that the 1-up mushrooms had a bit of a different color scheme when it came to the face of the mushroom, sporting an all white instead of a more added kind of tan look. Looking more into the the demo, we see the usual Mario using the launch stars to zip around the levels, as well as using the Wii pointer to collect the star bits. This all leads to a boss fight against Tarantox. One quick side note, but the other thing that I noticed too is that when Mario actually does his spin attack, he actually has an infinite amount to go ahead and keep spamming it. There's not really a pause or like a Luma that pops out of him. If he does it around coins, he's able to go ahead and just basically attract them kind of like a magnet. I will say that is a pretty cool thing, but also kind of a sad thing Nintendo removed that. But I also do understand as the reason as to why they went ahead and added a little bit of a delay between every single other spin attack. I also noticed in regards to the levels themselves here in this demo, they seem to be a bit more opened. What I mean by that is that looking at the demo during the first bit of the player playing through the level, he ended up against a Tarantox boss fight, but in the second playthrough, they seem to have taken a different path that led them to another boss fight, which led them to the Mega Leg. So it seems like there could have been a little bit more of an open route for you of which way do you want to go ahead and explore the galaxies here and which boss fight you can interact with. The other thing as well, but just could have been also just for the demo, Mario's able to take 8 hits instead of the 3 in the final release. At the end of the level, the music and just basically everything looks and sounds completely different when getting a star. Here, go ahead and take a listen. But that is it when it comes to the E3 2006 demo. The next time we would see Super Mario Galaxy is at the Game Developer Conference, also known as GDC, in 2007. There was no playable version, but they did showcase a new trailer, showcasing pretty much what we would all expect in the final game, at least somewhat. Honestly, looking at the trailer, I was able to see stuff like Mario having the ability still with his spin attack to attract coins to him, the life counter still being at 8 hits instead of the final having only 3 hits, and just speaking about that counter as well, instead of it being blue like on the E3 2006 demo, here it actually is changed to green, as a little neat thing that I noticed. Mario also had this red trail behind him when using this warp star during this segment, which I don't remember this being something Mario can do or had in the final release unless he was using the red star power-up, allowing Mario to fly around freely. We also see the star reticle when using pointer controls seem to be different than the E3 2006 showing. We also get to see an early showing of the oxygen meter when Mario is underwater, also known as the air meter. But with that, there wasn't really anything major I noticed in this trailer. I mean, I did notice those minor little things that I could mention, but I also went ahead and I did notice other minor little things like the Piranha Plant boss fight here having an orange color instead of in the final it being purple. But that's really it when it comes to its GDC 2007 appearance. The next time we would see Mario Galaxy would be at E3 2007, and in here we get to see the game turning more into what we would see in the final product. The life meter would be changed to 3 hits, the reticle would be almost there to what we would see in the final release, but instead of blue it's still rocking a goldish yellow look. At least that's what I initially thought, because later on in the trailer we actually see 2 reticles, teasing co-op, but the second player would, instead of using the gold yellow reticle that I mentioned, here in this one they're actually using the blue reticle. At least that's what it looks like to me, and again we actually see the gold yellow reticle earlier in the gameplay trailer. I don't know, regardless, it seems like they decided to potentially change the reticles before the release of the game, or maybe again in that other scene the player 2 was actually just already at that point just pointing at the screen to help player 1. I don't know. When looking at the star bits counter here, in some certain scenes, it seems to actually be showing the old design icon. So it seems like Nintendo or someone at Nintendo when creating this trailer wasn't paying attention much and just used old footage and possibly combined it with the new here. Honestly, I don't know. But with that being said, that was Super Mario Galaxy's appearance at E3 2007 with also a demo to come with it. From what I can find online, it seems like the E3 2007 demo and the demo showcased a little bit after the events like the Game Conference 2007 or GC 2007 would be the exact same demo. Looking at the demo, it honestly just seems really close to the final release, but still has some slight changes, and I really do mean slight. I don't know if it's just me, but the Bee Mario mushroom looking at it here seems to have a bit more of a basic design, at least when it comes to the giving off that fur effect in the final release. A straight line between the yellow and the brown looking here color. I don't know, maybe I'm just going crazy. The HUD and the pointers also seem to be exactly what we would expect in the final release, and honestly that is basically it from what I was able to see here in the demo. Super Mario Galaxy would soon then on release on November 1st, 2007, and with so much critical acclaim being seen as one of the greatest 3D Mario games, but also just in general one of the best video games ever. Holding right now a 97% on Metacritic to this day, this game for many holds a special place to many people's hearts. For me, Super Mario Galaxy, though it came out in 2007, I couldn't get the chance to experience this game until 2008. This was for me the first game, as I mentioned, that I played through after the passing of my mother, and again is why I have this game up there as one of my all-time favorites. It helped me get my mind off of things, and reading the beautiful story of Rosalina through her storybook made me feel a sense of joy that I felt was fading away from me during that time frame. But that is really it. It's a pretty short kind of thing when it came to the development of Super Mario Galaxy. There really wasn't a big ton of different changes that we would able to see from the earlier beta kind of demos and to the final release that we would get in 2007. But that is the development of Super Mario Galaxy. There are a ton of different changes that we would see from the game's concept art, but also even things in the trailers that we did receive. And so if you do want to see an even deeper dive, I will go ahead and leave a link to the Wonderful Mario Wiki page that actually provides a lot more details into what was changed. I primarily, when it comes to these types of videos here, I primarily wanted to go ahead and just point out the big major changes and things that I myself noticed when looking at these trailers and demos. But with that being said, nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.